Right, hello everyone, and welcome to this new episode number 3 of Friday Football Fix, getting you in the mood for a weekend of football on your Friday night. So once again, I am joined by my girlfriend Lizzie. Are you excited for this episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So we were meant to have a guest on tonight, but unfortunately, like I say, they are not able to make it tonight. Completely understandable. Like I say, life happens. So no problem at all. But we have got a guest planned for next week anyway. So hopefully next week will be the first week that we have a guest on this show. I was going to say, we'll get to episode 100 and be like, we'll get a guest one day. Someone.
Maybe I'm just too annoying.
Nah, it's all good. But yeah, plenty to talk about today. Like I say, we're filming this on the Thursday night before it comes out tomorrow. So not much time in between, but if it is outdated or any news that we talk about comes out tomorrow, then that is why. But anyway, let's get into our first story. Right, so this weekend is international weekend, which means there's no Premier League or Championship matches. So that means, of course, England are playing. We're playing the last two of the Euros qualifiers. So they've got Malta at home and North Macedonia away. So, like I say, the England squads have been announced. The first match, as you're watching this, will probably be in a couple of hours, literally, if you're watching it as it comes out. So I'm going to read the England squad out. I've got it here and honour your opinion on it. So goalkeepers, we've got Sam Johnson, Jordan Pickford and Aaron Ramsdale. Then in defence, you've got Levi Colwill, Lewis Dunk, Mark Guay, Harry Maguire, Fikayo Tomori, Kieran Trippier and Kyle Walker. Then in the midfield, not many at all. You've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, Jude Bellingham, Conor Gallagher, Jordan Henderson, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. And then they've listed 9 forwards here, which is interesting. But anyway, the forwards are Jared Bowen, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, James Maddison, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, Ollie Watkins and Callum Wilson. I'm pretty sure Maddison has withdrawn. I think, has Bellingham withdrawn as well? I think there's a few anyway that aren't in the squad anymore. Because like I say, this is from when it was announced. But pretty interesting squad selection in my opinion. What do you make of it overall?
I don't understand what James Ward-Prowse has to do to get called up.
It is a weird... I have always thought that, to be fair. When he does get called up, he doesn't really get played much. Because for club, I mean, he did it at Southampton and he's doing it at West Ham. I mean, when Declan Rice left and replaced him with Ward-Prowse, I thought he was the perfect replacement, and he's proven that at the minute. So yeah, it's a weird one. Whether Southgate just doesn't like him or something like that, it's weird.
He's picking the wrong people over, and that's the problem. I don't necessarily begrudge him picking Calvin Phillips, even though he's not playing, but I've got a real problem with him picking Jordan Henderson.
Go on.
Well, I just don't understand. The league he's playing in is less competitive than League Two. You know, any of the EFL, most leagues in Europe, and yet he still gets a guaranteed shirt. It's like playing for your Sunday league team and still getting called up for England because you're a good leader. I find it infuriating. And I also think the regime in Saudi Arabia is against what the England team is about for me. You know, they're all these good, quite progressive characters, you know, your Rashfords and people like that, your Harry Kanes, who are always standing up for the right thing. And it feels like the selection of Henderson goes against that somewhat. I'm trying not to get angry.
I think Southgate has always liked Henderson, since he first came in. So
I liked Henderson, but soon now he plays in Saudi Arabia, just to get fucked. You're obviously not that bothered about playing for your country. You'd rather go get a few quid in Saudi Arabia, and it's just not how. I'm
not personally. I don't think he should be. I think I'm with you. When he moved to Saudi, I think that were, you'd probably say, especially at his age as well, that's probably his England career done. But like I say, Southgate has always liked him, which is probably one of the reasons why he keeps picking him. But yeah, it's one of them. I mean, it's a whole other debate that. But yeah, personally, I don't think he should be anywhere near the England squad. But let's let him, in my opinion, let's let him prove it. Like, if he's getting picked, then if he puts performances in, then fair enough. I'm glad to see Jared Bowen picked, because there have been a few times where I know he's been unlucky with injury a few times with England, and a few times like at World Cup where I thought, it might have gone. It was just kind of like on the fringe and it didn't go. So it's good to see him in the squad. And I think as well, it's one of them, the kind of two not really anything games, because we've already qualified. There's not really a lot to play for. There's a lot of young ones in here, like where's it gone?
Colwell.
Yeah, Colwell. There's quite a few in here. So it's a good chance to kind of like give a few of these young ones a bit of a chance and like give them a taste of playing for the country. And so then when it does come to the big tournaments in a few years' time and stuff like that, when they're probably in the squad, they'll have that pressure of playing for the country for the first time.
What James Ward-Prowse brings in terms of dead ball as well does make him worth picking.
Yeah, I'd have picked him.
I just think it's bizarre. Like, that would be such a useful skill in the Euros if we want to go on and win it. I don't understand.
Yeah.
What does Henderson bring that like your Rices don't bring?
Yeah. Personally, I'm kind of thinking. Only reason I can think of is maybe we've already qualified.
But everybody's booing him every game that he's playing since he went to Saudi.
Oh, I want about Ward-Prowse.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's right. Go on.
No, it's all right. That's all I'd say.
Yeah. No worries. Are there any other names on there in particular that are interesting?
Not really. I mean, it's exactly what I expected, really.
Yeah.
but which is not necessarily a good thing.
Good to see Callum Wilson back as well. I always like Wilson. I think he's been very unlucky with injuries.
Isn't he out injured again now, actually?
Oh, no.
I'm sure he got injured before the Newcastle Bournemouth game, because he weren't red on my fantasy football, but...
Oh, no. I don't know. I know there are a few who have pulled out, so whether he's one of them, I'm not too sure.
No,
but
I'm not either.
He's, like I say, he's a player I like. He's one of the players who's just had awful lot with injuries. Like, if he hadn't got injured, he'd have a lot more caps than he's got. But, yeah, it's... like I say, it's going to be interesting, these two games. You'd think there'd be... two pretty straightforward games. Like I say, already qualified. Malta, like I say, they're already out. North Macedonia can't qualify either, so not really a lot to play for. So it's a good chance to, like I say, get some of these young ones playing and see what they're all about. Okay, so another story that has been in the news is obviously Billy Sharp has been over in the glorious US sunshine in Los Angeles playing for LA Galaxy. But his contract has come to an end now and it's not getting renewed. So he signed on a 2-month deal with an option to extend by a year and decided not to extend for whatever reasons. So he'd scored 6 goals in 6 games, which included a hat-trick as well. So what do you think about all this?
I think it's silly. I think he's a good striker no matter what league he's in, and he is a name as well. The highest scoring EFL player. I think they're missing out a little bit. I mean, maybe, and if it's the end of his career, that'll be so sad as well. Like, what a rubbish way to end it.
Yeah, I think there's a bit more to it than LA. No, I think there's a bit more to it than him just like not releasing. I think it's a bit of both parties myself. I think
could be family
one, he could, like I say, he might have just had enough. He wants to retire. Like a good way to end his career, doing a bit in America. Also, like you say, family's back in Sheffield. He's obviously missing the glory of South Yorkshire. I mean, so
I'd rather live.
I was gonna say. So, like I say, family stuff like that. You never know. It could. I personally think it's a bit of a decision that, like, kind of a mutual decision between the two. Because I can't, in my opinion, I don't get why they wouldn't offer him a new deal. Because he's, like I say, 6 goals in 6 games is pretty good, and especially, like I say, scoring in his debut, getting a hat-trick is done well. So, makes me think it's like not specifically football. The reason.
I guess maybe it'll come out what the reason is.
Yeah, I was going to say, the next thing I was going to ask you was, Ironside's at a bit of form now, but we had been struggling for goals. So I'm going to say, when he was at Donny, 41 goals in 86 appearances, and then when we got back on loan A few years later, he got 4 goals in 16 Championship appearances. So, would you have him back at Donny?
Yes, I would. But I think, I don't know, you don't want to spoil the legacy, do you, at the same time? I think Joe Ironside's got 12 goals now. Mo Farrell's not far from 10.
Yeah.
If we had a fit George Miller, I don't think we'd be struggling with goals at all. But I'd like to see that Billy Sharp playing off of Ironside.
Yeah. But one thing I think about that is I think they're quite similar players as well.
Yeah.
We're both like hold the ball. We're more like a target man, and then like I say, get the tap-ins. I won't mind him back. I think maybe like on a player coach deal or something like that. Like get him to do his badges, something like that. While he's around the squad, and because like I say, I mean in training, I bet he's
I just don't think we can afford him, unfortunately.
No, I'm going to say when he's been out in LA coming to Cantley Park, it's a bit of a stretch. But
in the dream world, but in reality, we don't really need him, do we?
No.
Like we've got a good striker in Ironside, and if we were to go into the transfer market, I could see McCann going for someone a bit different, like a Wilkes type player rather than someone like Billy Sharp. But a girl can dream.
I mean, I was going to say, if you asked me, would you take him back? I'd be like, yeah.
He's one of the 100%.
100% I would. But, like I say, I don't think he's the type of player we need at the minute. And, I would definitely take him back. But, I can't see it happening, to be honest with you. But,
I think, yeah.
Nevertheless, it's like I say, wherever he goes, he scores goals wherever he goes. He's one of them players. He's always
even in the Premier League, people said, "Will he cut it in the Premier League?" And he proved that he could.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's the EFL's leading goal scorer, isn't he?
Yeah.
And that doesn't just come out of nowhere. That's a very impressive statistic. Yeah. So I guess good on him.
Yeah. Yeah. So good luck to whatever he does next. Because like I say, I'm sure he'll be scoring goals wherever he goes. Right, moving on to the Prem then. So I think the standout game last weekend was Chelsea versus Man City. And everything in this game really. It finished 4-4. It was one of them where I had it on in the background. I was editing the Wimbledon vlog at the time, so I had it on in the background, muted. I was just kind of like watching it now and again. But wow, what a game! 4-4. 2 ex-City players scoring in Sterling and Cole Palmer, and that brings me nicely to Cole Palmer. He's doing well at Chelsea. I mean, I know you haven't watched a lot of him, but have you seen much of him like when he were at City?
Not really, to be quite honest with you. I didn't even know what the scores were from this game until you told me about 20 minutes before we started filming. Yeah, I've not really heard a lot about him, to be honest, but then my Premier League knowledge is like minimal. It's normally an on in the background type situation or a fantasy Premier League situation for me. I didn't even know what the score was until you told me. So.
No, it was one of them players at City. He didn't get a lot of league time, but it was one of them who played like in the FA Cup match. But every time he played, he scored. I mean, I know obviously like you're not always going to play like like he scored like against like your Swindons, your Peterboroughs. It's not the same as doing it against United. But I
think sometimes the problem with City, because they've got basically 2 11s. Is you can fall on the wayside a little bit. Like look at Calvin Phillips. I think Calvin Phillips would get in and be one of the best players in basically any other Premier League team except Manchester City. And to go to City is such a risk. Or I guess is he an academy product? Palmer, is he? I don't know. I think he came through our academy. So there's very few that do that. The only one I can think of is Foden, who's actually plays somewhat regularly. That's played for their academy.
It's a brave move as well. Brave move leaving City, where let's be honest, you can be pretty comfy at City, like playing an FA Cup and coming off the bench now and again. Like to move from Manchester to London at that age for a big transfer fee, I think about 40 million.
That's good.
It's a risk, and to be fair, it's paying off so far. It's proving that they can do it, and fair play to him, to be fair, because that takes some guts to do.
To be honest, the one out of the 2 I'm more excited about scoring is Sterling. I fucking love Raheem Sterling. He's someone I'm surprised wasn't in the England squad, actually. Because he's one of Southgate's darlings.
Yeah.
And I really like him. And he's something different.
Yeah, it might, like I say, it might be like, because like it's a bit of a nothing game, so that might be why I think.
Give some of the younger lads a chance.
Yeah.
But then why would you pick that? Well, wow. Yeah, okay, anyway.
New topic. So also in Prem, Tottenham lost again, second game in a row. We're looking really good at the start of the season, but they've had a few not great results lately. This one against Wolves were 1-0 up going into injury time. Then Wolves scored twice in added time to win the game 2-1.
Yeah, well, that is the thing. Their fans need to just trust the process. I think with
I don't think they're panicking. Like I said, I don't think they're panicking. But
it's all going to be all right. I think this will be the best season Tottenham's had in a very long time, and they just need to hold out. I actually think Wolves have been everybody's big surprise package so far.
Same. I think they beat City, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Gary O'Neill.
Gary O'Neill, yeah.
I really like him. And I'm delighted, to be honest, that we watched it on Match of the Day, didn't you? And it was the first thing I said, you know what, as much as I like Andrew and I'm happy for Tottenham and stuff, I am quite pleased he got that win because he was so happy about it as well. Yeah. And it serves Bournemouth fucking right for sacking him.
Yeah.
I assume we'll get onto the Bournemouth game in a sec, but it serves him right for sacking him that he's gone on to Wolves who were everybody had literally written off, you know, before a ball was kicked.
Me too.
He's absolutely smashed it with him, and good because it proves that they've really lost out on getting rid of him. Yeah,
I think Tottenham. They've had quite a few injuries at the minute. Like I say, I think Son's like one of their only fit attacking players, like Maddison's
obviously out as well.
I'm not sure if I think Richarlison's. I think Richarlison's injured. I might be wrong on that. But
he's in and out, and he with Richarlison always.
Yeah.
And obviously they're missing a certain player up front now who's scored hat-tricks in Germany.
Yep.
Although actually,
he'll still probably come second in Bundesliga.
This is controversial. I think Tottenham are worlds better without Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Because it gives all the other attacking players the ability to actually do what they want to do and not focus everything through one person.
It's hard when you've got to play through one player because if that player's having a bad day.
Yeah, but and I don't begrudge them having done that. Harry Kane is Harry Kane, right? Yeah. He's like one of the best strikers in the world, but I do think it has hindered Tottenham somewhat. Son looks so much better now.
Yeah.
And, you know, Richarlison as well, I've always really liked him, especially even when he was at Everton. So it's nice to see him get a bit of a chance too. Definitely. And also, I just really like Andrew. I think I've got a real soft spot for Tottenham at the minute.
Yeah. Same here. I never thought I'd say that. One more match I'm going to cover was Newcastle fans really weren't happy. They lost 2-0 away at Bournemouth, and they weren't happy, and fans let them know.
Can I be controversial?
Go on.
Newcastle fans are never happy. Do you know what I mean? They could have any kind of success. They weren't doing that badly under Steve Bruce or Rafa Benitez and those kinds of managers, and they still weren't happy, and they still wanted rid. And now they've got all this oil money, and they've got Eddie Howe, who is the best English manager, and they're still moaning. I don't know. You're never going to be Man City. You never, every team loses sometimes. Like you were saying, Man City lost to Wolves the other week. It's just it's football. And I think sometimes they get well upset and they just need to just enjoy it ride a bit more. Stop getting angry at everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I think Newcastle have got great fans, but I do think they've got very high expectations. Too high, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. I get that. Finished top 4 last season. But I think it was just an off day for him, to be fair. But
you have to bear in mind as well, they've got the group of death in the Champions League.
Yeah.
They were always going to have a drop off in form because they got into Europe for the first time. They haven't got the squad depth yet.
No.
They don't. I don't know.
No.
If we were in their position, I would be delighted as a Donny fan in that position.
100%. So just before we move on, we're going to look at the table quickly. And one thing I want to talk about is the top 5. It's very close at the minute. And,
I can't believe Man United are 6th.
There's a bit of a gap, like I said, a bit of a gap, but
I don't know how good they've got it. I don't know how good they've got it. To see if Chelsea climb the table now they've got a decent win.
Yeah, they've kind of they've come good all of a sudden. Like as I say, they had a bad start, but
Pochettino
I thought they were right with that.
Got his methods in, hasn't he? I think.
Yeah, they're looking a lot better now, Chelsea. Like I say, 1-4 draw and 4 lost 4.
I look at the bottom 3.
Yep, of course. I forgot Sheffield would come off the bottom.
The one that shocks me out of them is Burnley. I cannot believe. I think we talked about it on last week's show. It absolutely blew. Nobody had that prediction. Company. I was thinking Company would be poached, because he'd do such a good job, and now I think he might get sacked.
Well, we were on about him going to Tottenham, weren't we?
Yeah, so interesting.
It's the I would say at the minute it's the 3 that came up who's in the relegation zone as well.
The last time that happened was because it doesn't happen very often. That
no, usually it's usually 1 or 2 usually go down every season. I think last season was the first season in a very long time that none of the ones that came up came down, and now it's all the 3 who's there at the minute who's looking like going down, but
interesting.
Still a long way to go yet. But
yeah, Forest look like they're nowhere near the drop as well. Good on them.
Yeah,
There's an Everton as well. I think that's a surprise to a lot of people, but you know.
I think it takes time. Like I say, it's like I was under McCann. It's I think he's finally getting his kind of like
methods.
getting methods and getting him playing as a team now.
It's exactly, stuff takes time. Football takes time.
Yeah.
People have no bloody patience anymore.
No.
Look at Villa in 5th as well. That's
They're doing superb, Villa. Right, moving down to the Championship then, and Leicester lose their second game in a row. So they lost 1-0 to Middlesbrough, which, like I say, is their second loss in a row. And it's an interesting one because they've started so well. But a bit of a rough spell at the minute. What do you think?
I don't think it's going to make one singular ounce of difference. To be quite honest with you.
And let's be honest as well. The teams are lost to Leeds and Middlesbrough. They're like 2 of your strongest Championship teams.
There, aren't they? Yeah. Although Middlesbrough obviously haven't performed as well as everyone thought they would.
They're kind of picking up a bit now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. But it's not quite the same as it was last season. I mean, actually, it's probably exactly the same as it was last season.
I was going to say we started back,
they're not having that same end of season form.
No.
But yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. And Leeds are looking absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, they've really.
The actual team that I was more interested in, who was starting to have a bit of a lull, is Ipswich. I was wondering whether they'll start to drop off now.
Yeah, I think they needed that win this weekend.
Because they're on equal points with Leicester.
Yeah.
But I just have a feeling that, like, out of them and Leicester, it's more likely that, because drawing with Rotherham.
Yeah. The thing with Ipswich, I was going to say, if you had a 3-2 win on Saturday against Swansea. The thing with Ipswich, though, is they're carrying a lot of momentum from last season.
Yeah, but then,
and momentum runs out eventually. Like, if you, like I say, that buzz from getting promotion last season, that's not going to last forever. And when that runs out,
but
it's
they haven't got a championship squad, but I don't think anybody expects them to be second at this stage. I mean, I think it's great because it shows that there's the ability to rise up the leagues.
Yeah, and I hope stay up there.
So do I, but I don't know. I just think Leeds will, as much as it pains me to say, I just think Leeds will get that second place now. I just have a feeling.
I agree
which would
with
be
you.
such a shame because I really want Ipswich to go up. Like, wouldn't it be brilliant?
Oh,
Like Portman Road back as a Premier League stadium. Like, how many years has it been since they're in the top flight? A really long time. I mean, we've played them.
2002, somewhat early 2000s.
Yeah, we've played them over and over and over again in my lifetime. I think I've been Portman Road 2 or 3 times.
Right. Last time we were there, we lost 6-0.
I didn't go to that one, thank God.
On Tuesday night.
I watched that on iFollow.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting at the top. It looks it's tight.
So
I think
bad thing. One thing I was going to say was a bad weekend for the South Yorkshire clubs. So Wednesday it lost 4-0 at home to Millwall. Rotherham lost 5-0 away to Watford. Watford. I'm keeping it.
Put your teeth in.
Watford. Not a
and
good
obviously
weekend
that
to talk.
5-0 defeat to Watford led to the departure of Matt Taylor at
It
Rotherham,
did, which
to the delight of our friend Ian, who's been going for his head for a little while now.
For a couple of weeks before we were in.
Yeah, I wonder who they'll get in to replace him. Do you think they'll get a Warnock in or somebody like that? Rotherham and QPR will both be fighting for Warnock, I bet. Because obviously he's managed both of them before.
I was going to say he's managed both of them. I'll be honest with you, I don't have a clue who they'll get in. It could,
I hope it's Gareth Ainsworth me. Can you imagine how upset you'd be?
Steve Evans round 2.
Oh God. Wouldn't it be nice to have a change in style of play though? Because under Paul Warne, they've played the same kind of football that they play under Matt Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
That defensive, quite negative,
yeah,
parking the bus type situation. Like, wouldn't it be interesting if they got someone in who wants to play a bit more attacking? Not Grant McCann, though. No. Definitely not Grant McCann, thanks. But yeah, and Wednesday, there's lost cause in it.
Yeah, 9 points now.
Managerless Millwall as well.
Yeah.
Not a great result.
No, I'm going to say like I say, the bottom 3 are kind of still a bit adrift. Like I say, QPR and Rotherham aren't a million miles away, but that gap is getting bigger. The thing I wanted to kind of look at is just above the relegation zone. Obviously, you've got Huddersfield, Coventry, and Plymouth. I'll come on to Birmingham in a second. But you've got them 3 teams there who, like I say, they've got a bit of breathing space, but they could easily, any of them 3, slip into it.
Coventry will be fine. I think Coventry and Plymouth will be in the Championship next season.
Like I say, Coventry lost the best 2 players.
Yeah, but they've got such a good manager in Robbins, and I actually genuinely believe that they won't sack him. I do think that he'll be in a job at the end of the season. And if they did sack him, it's a disgrace. And you know what? They had a great go at it last year. That hangover is real sometimes for clubs. I mean, look at us when we missed out on the playoffs and we had a bit of a hangover, didn't we?
It's a bit like Luton. They've been on the rise consistently, season after season. And, you know, when you have a bit of, not negativity, but like when you have a bit of a...
Like a poor run
a bit of a big defeat or something like that, it can
knock the wind out your sails.
Exactly.
Yeah, Coventry will be fine. I think
they'll survive.
The only one I think that might get relegated out of them 3 is Huddersfield.
Yeah,
they are proper shit.
I picked them to finish bottom.
They're so shit.
I think there's a lot as well, not just on the pitch. I think there's quite a bit off the pitch as well. And the squad's not good enough. I know we've had a few injuries.
But with every team. Look at Rotherham, who've got half a squad out. You know, there's no excuse.
No, I just don't think they're good enough. But they seem to just survive every year, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. I think, to be fair, if they do survive, I don't think it'll be them staying up. I think it'll be the 3 below them.
Be absolutely true. I think it now depends on who Rotherham and QPR are getting as their new managers. That will indicate that.
I think QPR have got someone in, but I can't remember who it is. It's going to be interesting. And one more team I want to talk about: Birmingham, down to 18th now.
Good.
They are
slipping.
Do you think they could get dragged into it?
I hope so. Then he's got 2 relegations on his CV, hasn't he?
I think it's going to be. I think they'll be all right, but like I say, it's getting. You know, they are sliding down there. It could, they could easily get dragged into this. Right, time to talk about our team at Doncaster Rovers then. So it's been a busy week at the Rovers. So we'll go back to last Friday, which we're just about to play AFC Wimbledon away. We're getting ready to make that long trip down to London on the train. And it ended in defeat, unfortunately, with a 2-0 loss to Wimbledon. To be honest, we didn't really turn up, did we?
No.
It was just an off day. 2
rubbish teams, but they just got a better result on the day. It's what it is. I had a great time, so I don't.
Superb day.
I had a great day out.
Really good day on the train. Yeah.
I assume we're going to talk about how we bounced back.
We are
decisively.
Yes, we are. Enough about Wimbledon.
Let's talk about the magic of the FA Cup.
What I was going to say, where I said with this Accrington game, obviously a Tuesday night fixture, like I say, fixtures build up and that. I said, it's not good in some ways because squad depth and stuff like that, players coming back from injury. But I did say it could be handy because it's a good opportunity to move on from the Wimbledon game and, like I say, really put that behind us. And that is exactly what we did.
You say that about fixture congestion, but actually, when the Walsall game was postponed, my first thought was, right, we can throw everything at this Accrington game then.
That is true.
And we did. They ran the kin legs off for 120 minutes and they did not stop. And bearing in mind at Wimbledon, they all looked knackered after about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a real surprise to see, especially Richard Wood, who's literally not played in 3 months.
I've literally wrote that down to talk about it.
Running around for 2 hours. Unbelievable. And go on, sorry.
No, I'm going to say Wood got a man of the match in that performance.
Yeah, and you know what? I listened to it. It wasn't available to watch on iFollow. I listened to it. And he were on everything. And our friends that were at the game were saying the same thing. It's like he's come back from his injury as a different player to the one that started the season. And it's going to give Grant McCann a bit of a headache when Alowu and Anderson are both available for selection next week.
Yeah, I'm going to say you've been quite critical of him so far. Rightly so, I think, because he hasn't really played well. He hasn't really done well.
You know what I think it might have been? And my brother said this when he was having a bad spell at the beginning of the season. Because he's quite slow, Richard Wood, right? Which in the Championship isn't really a problem. Because it's not as fast-paced, I would say, as League Two. It's a bit more composed in a sense.
Yeah.
And Richard Wood seemed to struggle with the fast-paced nature of League Two. And he would be out of position because he was slow. And Joseph Lowe would come out and then we would concede because whoever was covering for him. That was happening all the time. Michael made a really good point, my brother, that he thought Richard Wood would be really good in a back three. And that's what they played Tuesday night. They played a back three with Senior and Bailey on either side of him.
Yeah,
and
that's what I say about Aaron Maguire.
Yeah,
Like, he's really good in the
yeah.
back three. He don't suit the back four.
And I think it really suited him because he had the two younger lads, Bailey and Senior, who have run forever on either side of him.
He can just,
he can just focus on the dirty work, as it were, and it really suited him. And
Yeah, I'm going to say, if we play with that back five, that's a very good option to have in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And with James Maxwell being back fit as well, and he had a fantastic game when he came on. Him and Molyneux were both absolutely superb. And Broadbent as well. That's the best I've seen Broadbent play.
Oh, awesome.
Made the winning goal.
Yeah.
Him and Maxwell, and just shows the power of a good substitution and that depth that's coming back now.
That's the good thing I think about this game as well, because to be fair, the players that had good games, kind of the players who have got a bit of criticism. So it's good to see him putting a good performance in, just to give Grant McCann just a bit more to think about.
It's great to see injured players coming back and causing headaches, because who on earth do you play? Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at the front three, other than Farl and Ironside, like your wingers and stuff. Who on earth do you play? Do you play Maxwell?
Hurst.
Do you play Nixon, who's brilliant? Do you play Kyle Hurst, who wasn't that great on Tuesday night, but has had some great games since he's come back? Do you play Molyneux, who quite literally changed the game on Tuesday? Do you play there's just an endless options, and then obviously you've got the young lads on the bench, your Calleas, your Satonas, your Roberts. Suddenly he's getting a bit of an headache up front, and that's a good thing. It can only
Very
be good.
good problem to have.
Let's get them as many back fit as possible over this week we've got off, and then go into Crewe and just proper give them a game.
Definitely. So with that, we drew. We got Peterborough United away in the next round. So
I was so
that was a tense game. Looked like Salford, but then
me and my brother were on the phone watching the BBC Sport ticker for the penalty shootout, because we really wanted to go to Peterborough away.
Yeah.
And I found myself cheering him on. I was like, oh, I hate myself, but won't it be a good day out?
I feel like I say this every week. I've not done Peterborough either. I've done Salford, but not Peterborough, so...
I'm not going to Salford again. What a shithole.
It looks like Peterborough's going to be my 100th ground as well, which is nice little
We'll
accolade.
have to figure out what we're going to do with the train strikes, whether we're just going to suck it up and get on the coach or not.
Yeah, we shall have a look at that, but... Yeah, I like to say, no game this weekend due to, I think Walsall had 3 players called up for international duty, so that gives the players a week off, like I say, 10 days rest.
I honestly think that'll benefit us more than it'll benefit Walsall in the long run, because it's just going to let us get more players back, have more time on the training ground. It's only going to be positive.
Definitely.
I was actually as much as I want to watch football every weekend, part of me was like, this is actually probably going to do us some good.
Yeah, it will, definitely, especially, like I say, playing on Tuesday night. Give them a good 10 days. Like I say, we can probably work on some stuff we might not work on otherwise, and just freshen a few players up, get some players back from injury, back into the squad, and like I say, it can only do us some good. So it's time for something different now. So this is something that's not really a main news story, not something you'd see on main page of BBC Sport. It might be something funny, something interesting that's happened, or something, like I say, you might not have heard of. So this week, I am going to talk about Nuneaton Borough. You might have seen this on social media if you follow a few non-league football stuff. So basically, with Nuneaton, they've been given an eviction notice from their grounds landlord, as they've been behind on rent payments basically since 2019, according to this. So they were meant to play on Saturday. So they said, and they put a tweet out on the day basically saying it could be the last ever game, because they've had the eviction notice, which means the homeless, they're locked out, they're literally padlocked out of the ground. So they've had to play elsewhere. And luckily they managed to get Stratford Town off of their ground to them for free. Stratford's like 30 miles away from Nuneaton, so bit of a trek, but nevertheless they've offered them that for free, which is really good of them. And they won. Yep, they won. So they've won 6 games in a row, and since then they went on to win on Tuesday night as well. So they've won 7 games in a row. And how about this for a throwback? We've got Leroy Lita leading the line. He, I think he got 2 goals that game. So yeah, we're sitting 5th in the Southern League Premier Central, which is 7th tier of English football. League below the National League North. But yeah, it's awful to see with stuff like this. It's especially when you got like the glitz and glamour of the Premier League, and then you see teams like this just struggling to pay rent at the stadium. But out of this, there has been a feel-good story as well. Obviously, the community in Nuneaton coming together to help this, and also Stockport County fans. This was superb when I read this. They raised £2,000 for the club. So they bought tickets for the match, but they didn't turn up to the game, so they just bought the tickets just to get some sales through the club. And raised over £2,000 by doing that, which so now I've got enough funds for the next 2 away games, one which were last Tuesday, and then the game this weekend as well. So yeah, a bit of an interesting story that I thought. Like I say, it's awful. It's awful to see, but sometimes when you have these kind of situations, it brings everyone together as well.
I think it makes me passionate, those kinds of things, because football fans get tarred with the same brush by the media, by the police.
I'm going to talk about this later as well.
By those kinds of things. And these kinds of stories just prove that actually football fans are all right, and they're much misunderstood people. And it is so much about community and family and those kinds of things. And it makes me passionate when you see these, especially because Stockport is so far away from Nuneaton. Like, isn't that brilliant?
I know, I'm not really sure what the link is there, but fair play to all them fans. That's why I love non-league so much, just for community feel. Like, you go to your local team, like say Retford United here, Rosington Main, my local team. It's like I say, it's usually about a fiver to get in. Everyone's volunteers, from the people behind the clubhouse to even sometimes like the people working, you know, like cutting the grass, the groundsman, stuff like that. Everyone knows everyone. All the players know everyone. Like Leroy and Lita were taking players with everyone at pictures, with everyone at Nuneaton. It's just lovely to see, and that's what you get from down there. Like, everyone knows everyone. It's just a feel good place to be fair, non-league. I really like it, and I hope it'll stay like that for years to come.
Do you want me to say mine?
Yeah,
mine
let's do it.
Almost the complete opposite to yours in a sense. From non-league to one of the biggest leagues in the world, the Serie A in Italy.
Yes.
I don't know. I couldn't remember if it was Serie A or Ligue.
That's France.
I know. I knew it was one of the two. So for context, I work in building control, which is like about the design and safe construction of buildings, and we work quite closely with planning. So it's something that I spend a lot of my time doing, is reading about those kinds of legislation and interesting stories about that. And I was talking to one of our planners at work a couple of days ago, just about football stadiums, classic me talking to people at work about football. And he showed me this article about the San Siro in Milan.
Oh, okay.
So obviously the plan for the San Siro was that Inter and AC were going to demolish it, build a new stadium on the same site for the two teams, yeah?
Right.
That is no longer happening because the newly elected cultural secretary has made it a listed building. So legally now it cannot be demolished due to its cultural significance. They don't know what they're going to do with it yet. There's talks of making some sort of COVID memorial, because obviously it was Lombardy and where Milan is, where
like in Europe,
where the first real big COVID cases in Europe were.
Right.
There's talks of that. But essentially it's sort of caused some problems for Inter and AC Milan, because now they don't really know what they're going to do. They need to find a new site, and there's talk about them actually no longer sharing stadiums and having two separate stadiums in Milan for Inter and AC, because those plans are all tarnished now, and they're going to have to keep the San Siro and figure out what on earth to do with it.
That's not going to be a short-term fix either, because it's not. You can't. It's like a stadium's not something that just appears in a random bit of land. Like, you've got to, like you say, you'll know a lot more about this than me, but you've got to find a location to build it in, which isn't easy nowadays with like building stuff like that. You've got to get it approved, you've got to actually physically build it.
And it's got to be easy to get to, because obviously your big stadiums, they need to have a metro link or a tram or a bus or something that can get you from the centre of Milan to where, because the San Siro is not in the centre.
No.
It's, it's out of, same as Camp Nou and places like that. But yeah, it sounds like...
Keep out.
Yeah, keep out, that's true. It sounds like they're gonna have to really think about what on earth they're doing. But now the San Siro is gonna be there for the rest of time, essentially, to protect the memory, the cultural heritage of it, and God knows what they're gonna do with it. But I thought it was quite interesting.
That is interesting. I like that.
But it's like the same thing happened with Bayern Munich many years ago when they used to play at the Olympic Stadium.
Oh yeah.
they were going to demolish it and build it on the same site, and the same thing happened. It wasn't allowed to, because that Olympic Stadium has a lot of history to it. I mean, I'm not going to bore you with all that kind of stuff, but it's got such cultural significance that they can't get rid of it. And yeah, I think it's really interesting. So suddenly that kind of, that urge for groundhoppers to go to the San Siro before they knock it down is no longer there. As much as you might not be able to see a game there, which to be honest now, it'll probably be quite a lot longer that they will be playing there.
Definitely.
You'll still always be there, so people can go and see it in generations to come and, marvel at its architectural significance.
That'll be me one day. Amazing. Okay, for this final segment, we've got debate this. So we've come up with a question or a statement or something to debate. Neither of us have any clue what the other person is going to ask. It's a bit of fun putting us on the spot here. So let's get straight into it. So I went first with the something different. So you can go first with the debate this, and you look very excited to tell me what you've got to say. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Actually, I'd forgotten this, and then I remembered what my old one was. So I'm quite pleased with myself. That's why I looked so happy. I need to write these down. So the theme of this week has been the international break. We're preparing for the European Championships next summer. My question for you is, which of these two things would you prefer? Would you like to see England win a major tournament, or would you like to see Doncaster Rovers play in the Premier League?
I knew you were going to ask that.
It's a great question.
Shit.
I know my answer. It's a 1 second one for me. Donny in the Premier League. Every time. But
I'd love to see us have a season.
Yeah, it'll never happen, but it'll make my year.
I would love to see us have a season. The one thing I know I wouldn't like about being in the Premier League is how that as well. But how flip-floppy the fixtures are. Like 1 week you can be playing like a Friday night, then you can play Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, but you're playing Man United in the league.
Yeah, I know. No, I would happily I would happily take that as.
I'd take a year off work.
Yeah, I would happily take that as a. Yeah. Then but yeah. It. I don't. It probably will be Donny in the Premier League. Just cause it's so far fetched from. I mean, we got to the Championship. We finished top half in Championship. I can remember we were around about playoffs, and you start thinking like potentially because Blackpool did it. They got into the playoffs. They beat us into the playoffs, and they ended up winning it and getting a season in Prem, and they came straight back down. But
that's like my
dream. You get that season in Prem,
like Luton,
like Huddersfield, Luton, Hull did it, but then like I say they stayed up and they've done it a few times.
Wouldn't it just be fabulous? It made me so happy.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, you go.
I was going to say I would love to see England win a major
I'd
trophy.
Like it, but if England never won a tournament again in exchange for Donny having one season and losing every week in the Premier League, I'd snap your hand off.
Yeah.
As much as it's great when the tournaments are on and it's like everybody's excited and pints and watching football and everybody, even people who don't like it, get involved, it does not mean anywhere near as much to me as Doncaster Rovers does.
No. I mean, to be fair, once you've won it as well, that feeling's kind of... It'll last for a while, but like I say, you've got that full season in the Prem.
It's the kind of thing you tell your kids about, isn't it? You're a football club playing in the Premier League. Yeah. The World Cup is, it would be great, but it's just not the same.
Yeah. And I can tell you now, watching us win the World Cup at home or in a bar, or feel nowhere near as much as being at Wembley and playoff, or like seeing us get promoted, everyone running on pitch.
I obviously when we got to the final of the Euros, I had a great day, but I was in Staff Alive, with my friends, and that was it. But like I remember that feeling of Wembley. I was 8. I feel it like it was yesterday. I
watched the Euro semi where we beat Denmark on my laptop in the staff room at Pure Gym Sunderland.
Well, that's exactly it. Yeah, it's not the same, and the whole country can't all be in the stadium. That's not how it works. Every Doncaster Rovers fan can be in Wembley. Every person who has been part of our journey supporting this football club would all be together, and it would be absolute carnage. It would be so amazing. I would give anything for that. Anything. Oh yes. I'd give anything to lose to Man City 10-0. That's like my best day ever.
Now we've talked about it, 100%. Donny Prem, no question.
There you go. I'd like to know your answer to that. Club or country, which would you be more interested in seeing? Obviously, if your team already plays in the Premier League, win the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? So the ultimate hype for your club versus England winning.
And if you've already won Champions League,
You don't go around saying you just get stuff.
yeah, not jealous at all.
You go up in Super League, maybe.
Right,
Okay.
mine's an interesting one. So we talked about it a bit earlier with like football fans. So something that obviously is common in it's not common. It's it has to be done. Is the segregation of home and away fans. So obviously away fans are given a part of the stadium where they sat, and also certain areas so away fans might not be allowed in certain pubs, or they might not be allowed to mingle in certain areas and stuff like that. And then you look at other sports like your cricket, your rugby, you name any other sport, literally, table tennis.
Sorry.
There's football is only one I know of. I mean, it is different, but it is the only sport I know of as where there is like segregation between the fans. So what I want to know is, obviously, there is trouble. You do get trouble over football, but I want to know if we got rid of segregation. So with no segregation, just do whatever you want, sit wherever you want.
Right.
Do you think there'd be less trouble?
No, I don't. I think they'd probably. I don't know. They'd be the same amount of trouble actually. Because if you're gonna fight, you're gonna find somewhere to have a scrap, aren't you? I just think my thoughts with segregation is I wouldn't enjoy it as much if we weren't segregated, because I love that feeling of an away end. Yeah. You know, I do like it at non-league when you can just sit and talk to random people. My only thought is I've got a big mouth, and I think in my mouth, if I'm sat next to a home fan and we've just scored at 90th minute, I'm going to get my head kicked in. There's a lot of me's in our fan base who would have the same problem.
Yeah, that is true. The reason I say this, we were watching Cray Valley versus Charlton last night, and like Charlton had 200 supporters in a tiny bit, and it was
don't bother cordon it off.
I know it's an FA Cup rule, but it's
the ground's not fit for purpose for segregating fans anyway, because it's non-league. I think in that situation it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think it's depends on the size of the stadium, the size of the fan bases, those kinds of things more than anything else.
The thing that interested me is I always think when fans are getting mouthy, getting at a bit of stuff, they could be behind a piece of string. Like, they're not going to cross it. You'll get the odd one that will.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I'm trying to think of an example. I can remember a video where loads of football fans stood behind a fence jeering the opposition fans on. There were an open gate right outside them. They could have easily, and no security or anything. They could have easily, or very little. They could have, and I always think if you really wanted to get at someone.
Yeah, you would find a way, wouldn't you?
Whereas I think if it were all mixed in and stuff like that, it'd just. I just don't think you'd still get problems, but I don't think it'd be anywhere near
Really?
I think personally, if it were just, it's a culture thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
in cricket,
tribal.
You'll get the odd fan who's just a knob, and they'll want to fight it. I've seen it at cricket. You'll get an odd, England. Like we went to Ashes, you'll get you'll get someone who's had a few. You'll get someone who's had a few too many, and they'll start getting cocky, and you'll get someone equally on their level, and they'll clash. It's just going to happen. I think there'd be a lot less minor disruption. I don't think you'd get as many people thinking the 10 men and stuff that.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree with it. I don't agree with it. I just think it's an interesting debate to have, because I think if you just made it mix, I think a lot less people would run the mouth.
You know what the actual thing is, though? It's the policing and the stewarding, I think, that causes the trouble a lot, 90% of the time, rather than the actual opposition fans.
And that's what I mean by the segregation.
I always think when we go to games, if you see 30 police officers and stewards come and stand next to the away fans, you are 20 times more likely for those away fans to get kicked out.
That's what I'm kind of trying to make the point of if you didn't have that.
They treat us like cattle. They treat us like animals, and it's so unacceptable, because...
Don't get me wrong, some deserve it.
Some are dickheads, but
some do tarnish for it.
Find the dickheads and deal with them. Don't deal with the majority of people who are just trying to watch a game of football, who probably have gone with their dads and their kids and
Yeah.
their friends, and they're
Yeah.
just trying to have a laugh.
But
like,
and what I'm saying is, if a lot of them like didn't get that escort from the train station or from the pub,
they would be riled up.
That's
and,
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
There's nothing that puts you back up more than getting kettled by some policemen. There are nothing.
And if you treat people like animals, they're going to act like animals.
Yeah, you know.
It's
and I just find
more human nature.
it's one of those things that I find really frustrating, because banter is banter, and a lot of the time that back and forth between a home and an away end, that's banter, and it wouldn't escalate.
Yeah.
It escalates because a steward tells the person, sit down mate, or don't do that or you'll get kicked out. That's when the problem arises.
And they'll see a line of people and think, oh, I'm set, like they're not going to come for me. It would just like it could like literally, like I say, instead of stewards you can have like a piece of string there, same effect. It's like,
you know what is interesting? In all the time that I've been watching football, I have only seen home and away fans clash in the stadium once. I have seen the same fans fight fucking loads of times.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it's just, I don't know, it's tribalism, it's pageantry, it's trying to look like you don't like the team opposite you, but actually you're probably a lot more annoyed by the fans sat around you.
I mean, when we go to England, we're all socialising and stuff like that.
Yeah, they'll go to each other's weddings and stuff. Like, it's just bizarre, isn't it? Yeah. No, that's really interesting debate. I mean, I could talk to you about the way football fans are treated. There's a really good thread, which I will find and send to you, that was published by a Doncaster fan after the Wrexham game, that much more eloquently articulates my thoughts on the way football fans are treated at football compared to other sports. And I'll send it to you so you can link it below if anyone's bothered about, having a look at it.
Sounds
but
good.
it really does sum it up, and I think there's this independent football review that's going to happen with the football regulator that the government are implementing and stuff. Not only does it need to talk about financial fair play, it needs to talk about treating fans like fucking human beings, because it is not acceptable the way we've been treated over the last few years. Like, Rovers let everybody in our bar, we treat away fans super well.
And there's never any trouble.
Never any trouble. I've never seen trouble at Donny game, apart from the one time when Millwall fans came. But that's a special case. Whereas when we went to Wrexham, and various other great grounds we've been to together, oh, you can't come in the bar because you're away fans. Like, we've come on the coach, we've got her at 1:30.
Not even wearing colours.
We're not wearing colours. We're here with old people with walking sticks and kids. We just want to have a pint and then go into the game. If we're going to fight, we're not going to fight the people in the social club, are we? We're going to go and fight the hooligans sat at the train station waiting for people. It infuriates me. And,
common sense.
They don't treat football fans like people at all. And most football fans are like me and you. And I'm so passionate about that stereotype being removed, because it's something that I deal with all the time. If I speak to a non-football person, they go, I'd never take my kids to football, it's not safe. Well, try coming to a Donny game, because you would not have any problems at all. Most football games are safe and they're good places to be and they're family friendly, and as long as you don't mind a bit of swearing, you're going to be fine. Do you know what I mean?
Would be interesting. I'm not talking about mixed seat and stuff like that, but I think it would be interesting to see like I say, if you're just allowed to go wherever you wanted and stuff like that, sit wherever you wanted, mix with the fans, it'd be very interesting to see.
But how many times have we been in a pub on our time, just when we've been together? I'm thinking about when we did Stockport, not this season, the season before, when we've been to Boston in pre-season, where we've sat in the bar and we've been approached by the home fans and they've come over and they've asked us. It's the best thing. And it reminds me a bit of, 18 Dapper and Lee Pearson from Round the Grounds. They do that really well. They mix with fans really well, and actually most fans are lovely. They want to talk to you and they love football same as you. And you'll hate each other for 90 minutes, but you won't. It's just banter.
Yeah.
But we were in Wimbledon the other night, and after we'd lost, and there were some fellas across from us who were so desperate to talk to us about the game. Yeah. From Londoners and stuff.
I love that, having a pint. Like I say, before and after, having a pint, just chatting about. I remember after Crystal Palace, we played when we lost them in FA Cup. We me and a few mates went to Beefeater Bar, which is the away pub closest to us, and had a few pints in there. Just got talking to them, and
you know me, I'll make friends with anyone. So I'm constantly making friends with strangers. So yeah. Right,
that wraps up another episode of Friday Football Fix. How'd you find that?
Yeah, really good.
I really enjoyed that.
Calm down now from my rant.
No, really good. I really enjoyed that. So like I say, every Friday, 6 o'clock, we'll be here. Like I say, we should have a guest on next week.
Don't jinx it.
And I'll probably say that a week after. But yeah, like I say, hopefully you will see 3 of us next week, but we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. We're just 30 subs off of 1,000 now, so...
Oh, is it 30 now?
Yeah, 30.
It was 31 last time I looked.
It was. So, yep, 970 so far. So if you could help me out, that would be greatly appreciated. Share this video around if you know someone who might be interested. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one next week. Bye.